Other options to consider. So as you go around, as the paper goes around, you can sign up for whatever week we're doing this. If you will write down what you think you want to do and bring, that'd be great. And for the first couple times, I'll coordinate with you. I'll be the point of contact. That I don't want to burden any other committees.
Is it still at noon next time?
Say again?
Is it still noon?
Yes.
Still alternating?
Yeah, our meetings are set at least until September. For the first Tuesday is a morning meeting, and the second Thursday is a morning meeting, and the fourth Thursday of the month is an afternoon or noon meeting. That's already set in our schedules.
So we've cut ties with my place?
We haven't really cut the tie, but we haven't said anything. I guess we should probably make it formal. There's just no reason for us to go back there with
We
it.
got the plaque there, we also got the sign on the, line.
I'll tell you what, Ron, let's talk offline. I'll coordinate with you. I'll go in and say nice things to her and tell her that we're leaving because we've outgrown her facility, and we'll move along that way. Okay with you, Ron? I know we got to get the plaque back, and we got to change the thing out there on the highway. Yeah. Yeah, so I know it's difficult, but we are getting bigger, and all the places we used to go to have this meeting, they're just too small, and other distractions make it difficult for us to go there. So I hope you're okay with us being a little super gumby on this, always flexible, right?
Well, I'm like Diane, if the city is willing to work with us on this facility, this is self-contained, and we just have to provide food.
I agree.
Much easier. You don't have people in and out as far as customers at Muskie or whoever.
So, you know, I went to the Country Kitchen, whatever it's called, and a couple of other places, and they just, you know, and lunchtime, everybody's busy. So it becomes really difficult for us to do a lunch thing there. So I think this is the right place for us to do at least a potluck for our lunch meeting until something changes. We'll be simply going to do that too.
We could always just bring our own lunch at lunchtime.
Yeah, brown bag it. Yep, I like that too.
That's what San Pedro's doing.
Yep. One more point of order. Last meeting, we were going to do a vote to approve the nominees for next year's board positions. We didn't get to do it because you didn't have enough heads up. Now, I know Steve sent out an email, and you have had the list before you for at least 2 weeks, or roughly 2 weeks. So we're going to do that business now before we get into the rest of this, because otherwise I'll forget. So any questions about the new positions for next year? All right. And all in favor of the nominees for next year, raise your hand to signify aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, signify by the same sign. Yeah. The motion carries. That means you'll be seeing a lot more of me again.
Anybody raised their hand the second time they got elected?
Yeah, I know, right? They're the next one on the docket. All right. I've been up since 2, so I'm a little hyper, and I haven't had any caffeine yet. So if I seem a little eager, I'm trying to get through this and make I got a full day today too. So, all right. So secret greeter. Oh, I'm excited for this. Janelle.
Oh, let's see. Who is? You.
I was a secret greeter?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not going to call out the latecomers because they did bring coffee. So that's what I really need now, right? But yeah, no, I definitely, hey, even Fred, the new guy, who Ron brought, I shook his hand, and he knew my name when he shook my hand, and I hadn't met him yet. That's kind of weird. Ron, did you set that up?
I thought you had your name.
He knew my name, and he knew Kay's name.
He remembered Chuck walking by his house 20 years ago.
Is that right?
So Chuck Cross.
Wow.
Chuck, be gone?
Oh, just say it again. Well, welcome, Fred. So, nobody pays up for Secret Greeter Day? Darn. Let's do our Happy Dollars. Happy Dollars. For those of this is your new time, Happy Dollars is we pay to speak, okay? And share the good news that's in our life, or everything except travel logs. We don't do that, it takes too long. So, Laura will go around, she will collect your dollar and give you the floor. Laura, take your first dollar.
Start with Mr. Close.
Okay.
every third Sunday now, our church has an open mic session where talent can come and perform. And this Sunday, we've got Steve Conroy going to do some music and cowboy poetry for us. So why don't you come out and join us? We're the little community church just behind Target, between Charleston and Target. It'll be 3 p.m. this Sunday. Yeehaw! Yeehaw! Oh, you can sing?
Margie?
She's going to be singing too. I didn't know that. Sure.
I'm happy to see everybody today. My ankle is better. I'm happy about that. But I was just reading Roy's shirt, and I thought that was really cool.
Happy Roy has a shirt on.
It's rise early, work late, and strike oil. Make me happy.
Now?
I have an IOU. I gave all my money to Patrick.
I don't know why.
I'm going to start a trip to Montana on Monday, Saturday, and it's going to be a road trip. We're going to end up in Kentucky and then through Missouri and stuff like that. So I think it'll be exciting.
Sounds good.
Yes, yes.
Next.
I talked to our daughter this past week. Our granddaughter was part of a fishing tournament up in Northeast Vermont, New York, that was actually put on by the Kiwanis Club.
Oh, wow.
So I mentioned to her and stuff that my sweetie and I and stuff, we are Kiwanis members and stuff here, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Hey.
Next. I have two. One is Eddie and I are headed up to Phoenix today because we're competing in an elk ritual team competition. Please pray for us. Today's Thursday? Yes. Tomorrow, because that's when the competition is, and it's quite lengthy. And so we're doing that, and so one's for that. And the other one is for this beautiful weather that we're having and for everyone here.
Next. Diane?
Okay, my happy dollar is, I didn't know what it was for until I got here, but it's because Ray, and I want y'all to know this, Ray has actually more than once teach him how to play pickleball, so now that everybody knows, he's more committed. So I'm happy he's going to learn.
Cool.
Anybody else who wants to learn, let me know.
Just want to remind you that I have a replaced hip, so don't expect much, okay?
And I'm a senior citizen, so.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Okay, Ron?
Well, I want to welcome Fred. He's been a long-time friend of mine, and we're glad to have him here this morning. He came here 2-bit, 4-bit, 6-bit dollar presentation by my next-door neighbors and our perennial speaker here, Jason and Lita Lindstrom. And also, just want to highlight that we have 83 people in attendance Saturday. I recommend you get there, those that are coming in, by 8:30 or so we have enough time to get organized and get your name tags checked in. And it'll be the 60th annual honors breakfast. Jason again is our speaker for that evening, that morning, as Lita will be there as well. And I appreciate all the support that we'll have been receiving for that. So thank you.
Next.
I'm just thankful that you all are patient with me being a treasurer. Anyway, I'm going up to Nebraska this weekend to celebrate our aunt's 88th birthday, so I'm excited about going up there.
You're leaving today, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And
Margie and I are going to be going back to Fredericksburg, Virginia on the 19th for our granddaughter's high school graduation. And she's the last of the grandchildren to graduate from high school, which gives you a hint that the other grandchildren are older. My second happy dollar is that although we don't deal with politics, everything is going well and the website is up and operational. And my third happy dollar is for my wife who puts up with all of my shenanigans. You're doing what?
Excuse me, it should be more than a dollar.
Okay, Laura, it's not going into the 50-50. It's going to be okay.
Laura. Dryer, right?
Roy.
Roy.
Get Roy.
Okay. How much change? 4. Oh, your dollar.
My youngest grandchild is turned 18 last week, so I now have 4 minor great-grandchildren and no minor grandchildren.
My daughter is engaged.
Engaged?
Yeah.
Can you remind us, is she local?
Yes, well, for a moment.
So is the wedding going to be here?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
She wants a beach.
Beach, we have none of those.
We have no beach wedding.
The bride gets what she wants.
Okay, next.
I'm happy to be here to present to you guys on a topic that I really like. And I don't know if you guys know, but my wife's in Rotary. They do the same thing. They call it Happy Bucks.
Oh.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah.
Anybody else out on the floor for Ray and myself? Okay. I have $53 this morning. 3 of them are happy dollars, and 50 of them aren't kind of happy dollars. But I'll start with the happy dollars first. Okay. First one is that my new carpet got installed yesterday. I've been waiting on it since September. So, I'm really happy. Okay, and see here. See, I'm happy. The next happy dollar is that I'm happy that I have finished shopping for Peach's Pantry for about a month and a half now.
Yay.
Yeah, so next week will be our last week to deliver before the school's out. So I'm going to get a break from about a month and a half of buying groceries. And see here, the next one, whoops, I gotta get another dollar out. Next one is that I'm happy that the leak in my bathroom wall is fixed. So that's all fixed.
Was it as bad as you thought it was going to be?
Well, thank goodness I have American Home Shield, because they paid $500 and something and then I paid $200.
Oh, okay.
So it was a $700 fix. So, and see here, the next happy dollar is that we had our final project graduation meeting last night, and so everything's go for 2 weeks from today. And I think Chuck has said that, you know, he can help pick up food, because I'm one of the food chairmen. So if anybody else wants to pick up food, just let me know.
What are there to do for the night of project graduation? What can we volunteer to help with?
The night of, you know, they just need volunteers to help work with different games and stuff. And you've got to get onto the list before, you can't just show up to go help. You have to get on the list.
Okay.
And so just let me know if you want to help or whatever, then I'll get you the information.
Sounds great.
Okay, and the sad part of my thing is I have $50 here because this coming Saturday, May 14th, would have been Joe's and mine's 50th anniversary. And so it's a kind of sad day, but
you know, I did have 33 years, good years with him before he passed away. So, here's to Joe.
And my nephew, Cooper, signed with Pima Community College for college, and he's from play basketball up there.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, one of my former students graduated on faculty. Just makes me feel older. So thank you very much.
Okay, so my happy dollars. First, always the kids. Austin's doing really well. He's in Utah right now going through a program. It's a week-long program, fully engaged, out in the wilderness, doing a thing. This is to help him with his behavioral health issues. So he's getting the help he needs, which I think is fantastic. Those of you who have struggled with any of that before, I think the mistake is to not talk about it. I think you should talk about it to make people aware that it's not just them that's going through it. And so I share with you that in hopes that you will know that there's a lot of us out there, a lot of us. We came back from the Afghanistan war a little bit stressed. All right, so that's good. Talked to Aubrey the other day, and they were excited to move, but they still don't have a date. So as excited as I am for the move and all the things that are going to go with that, moving them from Virginia to Montana, I still don't know when that's going to happen. But it's going to be the end of July, so don't count on me, end of July. Next happy dollar, Lita, Jason, I am so thankful that you guys came again. I'm glad that we talked about Bitcoin over email a couple of times. Kind of share some of the same interests. I don't know what you're going to say, so I'll be having both ears, left and right, open to hear what's going on with that, and I'm excited to take notes and pass it along to our friends. So thank you for volunteering to do it again. Thank you. I want to also express my sincere thanks to those heavy lifters in our club that do programs pretty much all by yourself. All by yourself. We were talking about you at our last board meeting. We know the yeoman work that you do, and we want to create a way to help you do that and get someone to help carry your load. So we're looking to get you an adjutant or somebody to help, or at least a second or something, somebody to fill in when you can't do whatever you're doing. And we're creating a smart book on getting the particulars on that book for contacts and process and that you do. Steve and Don and I are sitting down in a couple of weeks to create a format for that, and then we're going to come out and visit each of you individually to see if we can't routinize these things and make them less austere for someone to pick up and do cold turkey if they ever had our call to do it. So don't think I don't appreciate it. Ron, I'm extremely excited for this coming honors breakfast. I can't walk to it this time, though. I used to just walk across and get there. So I'm going to have to drive, leave a little bit earlier to get there. So, yeah, coming from Hereford is a lot longer than just coming right out of Pebble Beach. So if you don't know or haven't been thinking about it, please come, bring your badge or something that makes you identified as Kiwanis. Otherwise, we'll give you a label badge. You know, my name is. But come on out, show your support. Hey, I'll pay for your breakfast. Okay, if that's the issue, and you know, just come on out yourself. I'll pay for your breakfast. I know it's too late now to see this. I'm not stupid. Come on out anyways, and look at the shining faces of these kids. I can't tell you enough. It is the reason I'm here, that you guys got me at that breakfast. So those are all my happy dollars. Let's move along to them. Move on to the marble game. Patrick, where are we?
How much money?
We have 452.50 in the pot.
Big.
Big. And I will have.
One of our dads.
Fred's right there.
Oh, Fred's a basket.
Fred,
Let
money.
Lita do it. She's got small hands. She's not going to have any trouble getting down to the bottom and grabbing my number.
Ed, you have the tickets I gave you? Oh.
Say it loud.
Number is 96759.
909.
Okay.
Okay, you're one ticket. You bought one ticket and got it? Wow.
K.
Come on, Kay, get it.
Okay.
Come on, Kay, get it. This is a big deal. There's only like 5 marbles in the box.
I only feel 2.
We start with like
She
20.
only feels 2 marbles.
We're down to 5.
Oh, there.
She's feeling for the one with the rough edge.
Oh, man.
The game continues. Right.
Tell them, Pat,
The
what
game
was,
continues.
because I forgot too, what's the colors?
If you draw the one, the white ones, meaning bogeys, and the, if you get the blue one or whatever.
That's fine. I can tell them, 'cause they-
You get the thing.
It's not black, it's cat eye.
It's something other than white. I think it's like one of those cat eye marbles.
Cat eye marble.
Don't stick the marble back in there, Patrick. All right, so the pot continues to grow, which is exciting. If that doesn't motivate you to come to the next meeting, I don't know what will. The next thing on the agenda is to welcome to our group 2 people who were voted in as our new members. Roy, please stand up. Roy, will you tell us why it was you decided to join Kiwanis, please?
Well, I was a charter member of a Fountain Valley, California club many years ago and moved my office, so I dropped out. And now that I'm retired and moved here, I want to get back in and do my part for the community.
Perfect. Thank you, Ernie. And Ed. Please stand up, Ed. Tell us why you joined.
My sweetie was gonna hurt me. No, there's a lot of folks and stuff that I know here that are very close friends and stuff of mine. All right, I care for dearly and everything else, and it's just a pleasure and stuff to be here, so appreciate it.
Thank you, Ed. Let's make sure I'm not losing track of where I'm supposed to be at this time. Okay, now Laura, were you the Kiwanis of the moment last time?
Yeah,
Okay, I need to get you do you have the trophy already?
behind you.
It's behind me. All right, I'm going to bring it to you, and you get to designate who you believe is the Kiwanis of this moment.
Okay, well, I actually have a choice, I don't have to think about it. Okay, our 20 of the moment for this week is our new members of being, because, you know, being Bunko chairman, and you know for 12 years I've harassed you and begged you and pleaded you to go out and get a corporate sponsor or go out and sell tickets. Well, she did it all. She went out and got a corporate sponsor, and then it was like 13, 14, 15 tickets that she sold for the event. So, I think that's deserving of it.
Way to go, Sabina. Hervorragend, ausgezeichnet.
Dankeschön.
Bitte schön. She has the unique ability to speak German too, which I love. All right. I already did the vote out of sequence, so now I have the distinct pleasure of reintroducing Judge Jason Lindstrom. Now, you've been here before, you probably already know him. He's homegrown from the region, went off to college, came back. I don't remember, Lita, did he find you abroad and bring you with him?
We went to high school together.
That's right, you're from here too. That's right. And is now living life here in the sleepy Sierra Vista and really living large and expressing himself. Not only is he judge, not only does his wife volunteer heavily too, and are they pillars of community, but he knows stuff about Bitcoin I can't even imagine yet. And I'm excited to learn from you. So I'm turning the floor over to Jason. Please enlighten us.
So some of you may be happy, some of you may not, but my little cheat sheet here, and I'm not going to go through all this, it's just for your reference, is on paper. So and I don't think there's enough to go around, so if you're here with somebody else, just take one, so everybody gets one. Start over here, just pass it around. So, I volunteered to talk about this topic because it's not very well known and it's very misunderstood. The concept of Bitcoin, probably the one you've heard in the media and in the news, is that it's some type of digital money. And it is, but that's kind of the tip of the iceberg. And my goal here is not really to help you understand all the technical aspects of Bitcoin, but to basically kind of give you some information that might pique your interest and to help you understand why it's something you should be taking an interest in. Bitcoin was created, it's a technology really, after the 2008 financial crisis by a person that no one knows who he really is, or whether it's an institution, or whether it's a group of people, named Satoshi Nakamoto. Satoshi Nakamoto was a member of this group you may have heard of called the cypherpunks. They were kind of like this group of coders that were kind of angry at the system, and they're kind of a group of old hackers, that kind of a group. But they were cryptographers, a lot of them, and programmers. So Satoshi Nakamoto would send his code to them, and that's the only reason why we know who he is, and we know very little about him. And what he was trying to do is create a peer-to-peer system where you can exchange money. And some of you may remember there was a company called Napster. Remember them?
Yes.
And what Napster was is some rebellious youth, I suppose, decided, hey, you know, we can just download this digital stuff. We don't have to buy it anymore. We can just exchange it. And if I load my song and you load your song, I'll download yours, you download mine. And once you make a digital copy of it, basically there's an infinite number of copies that could be made. So obviously this frightened the music industry. Not only the music industry, but all entertainment that could be digitized. So in other words, what Napster kind of revealed was, if you can digitize it, there's an infinite number of those things you can make from it. And you can't protect it anymore. So another thing I want to tell you before I go any farther, and this is a big topic, and I'm going to do my best to bring it down to 10 minutes just to interest you. But Bitcoin, kind of, in order to completely understand it, you have to have a certain background in economics, philosophy, government. It takes in a lot of different things, and that's one of the reasons why it's kind of a revolutionary technology, and it might sound kind of dramatic, but there were times in human history where we discovered something that kind of changed the way we operate as a community. Things that go back to fire, things that more recently in history, like the printing press, and it changes the way we interact, and it actually changes the foundation of our systems. Bitcoin is one of those changes, because in 2009, Satoshi Nakamoto, a person that we don't even know who he is, he might not even be alive, or he might be an institution, created a way to digitize something that can't be copied, which is immensely important in the age of computers and our digital age. Because now you can create something, I can create something that no one else can hit Control, what is it, P, and make a million of them, right? There's only one of them. And what it is our ancient ancestors, when they first created basically mathematics and writing, I don't know how many of you know in history, but a lot of that writing and notation was invented for the purpose of keeping a ledger. Basically, it was taxes and titles. Those are the reasons why we invented scratching things on rocks and everything else. Well, this invention was made kind of in a similar way. Bitcoin is, what it actually is it's called a distributed ledger. All it is a public notepad that keeps track of transactions and ownership. So it's called a decentralized, open, permissionless, borderless network. It's a computer network. It's not operated by any particular group. It's not owned by anybody. It's not under the jurisdiction of any particular government. It's basically an autonomous network, computer network. And I think one of the primary reasons why Satoshi Nakamoto created it is because they were trying to explore the idea of a digital money system. For example, you have money in your pocket right now. We all gave our dollar when we gave our happy thought, right? If you take that dollar and you digitize it, I can copy it, maybe using a printer. I can print it as many times as I have ink for, or paper for. It's something I can copy. If I put a dollar in a computer, I hit Control P, or whatever that mechanism is, I can make 1,000,000 of them. It's an infinite supply once you digitize it. Well, what Satoshi Nakamoto figured out, once again, is a digital scarcity. So he invented a way where you can actually put 1 unit, which is a dollar, on the network, and it can't be copied. So when I say a distributed ledger, basically the cypherpunks turned on their computers, and using the code that Satoshi Nakamoto wrote and released into the wild, once he released it, he had no control over it anymore. It kind of became an animal of its own. If you turn on your computer, you can basically, in return for running the network, and this was the big problem that he had to solve, how do you get strangers to support this network? We've always needed a trusted third party, like a government, to kind of support our networks, or a bank. Like, how do I, if I'm trying to transact with Ron, but I don't know Ron, and I'm going to send him $1, how do I know he's going to, first of all, how do I know he's going to send me the product? Second of all, how does Ron know I even have $1 to send him? Right? So there's somebody in between that kind of manages all our transactions, whether it's a government entity or a bank. Well, what Satoshi Nakamoto did is he made it possible for two people that don't know each other in different countries, different places, different times, 24/7, to be able to send something to somebody else without needing a central third-party governor over that thing, right? So I can send something to you, and it will get to you because the network is running, right? But the real problem was, how do you get people to do that? How do you get people to just turn their computers on, use their money, their time, their electricity to run the network? So what he did, he created an incentive program called mining. So that's how the network is incentivized. When I turn on the computer and run the network, my computer is running to try to solve a mathematical program, and if I solve it, I get a reward. But in the meantime, it's also sending and receiving the transactions and keeping track of the public ledger. So that's what it is. It's just basically a computer network that's been incentivized for anyone just to turn their computer on and run it. And it's open, borderless, all the other stuff that I mentioned too. The reason it's so revolutionary, I suppose, is not only that it creates a digital scarcity, but it eliminates a lot of the middlemen from almost all digital transactions, which kind of scares some people and some businesses because, let's face it, the banks exist as middlemen, as trusted third parties. When you actually swipe your Visa card when you go to Walmart, that transaction sits in limbo and goes through different systems and gets verified by different people and goes all over the place. And along the way, this is important to remember, people are taking a piece of the transaction for themselves too. And a Visa transaction, for example, I don't remember what the percentage is, but if I buy, let's say I want to buy something for 5 cents, maybe somebody in China is writing a newspaper article, and they're selling it to everybody in the world that wants to read it for 5 cents. Well, at this point in time, we don't really have the ability to buy that for 5 cents because a Visa transaction actually costs more than that. So there's no ability to have what's called a microtransaction. So not only is it revolutionary in that it cuts out all the third parties from the middle, takes all the money and gives it to the people who are transacting, it's instant because it's happening over the computer network. It happens in a snap. And it allows for microtransactions, which means basically I can buy something for a fraction of a penny from that person in India or Pakistan if I want to, right? So those are some of the things that, some of the problems that Bitcoin is going to solve, but it goes much deeper, and if you actually, what's called dive down the rabbit hole, in the Bitcoin community they call it orange pilling people. And it's a reference from The Matrix. Remember in The Matrix, if you've seen that movie? When Morpheus has his 2 hands out and you can take the red pill or the blue pill. And if you take, I don't remember which color it was, but if you take one of them, it wakes you up, right? Well, in the Bitcoin community, it's called taking the orange pill. Because once you start sliding down the rabbit hole and start, I guess, looking closely at all the things Bitcoin is probably going to change, it's going to rebuild our economic and financial systems. It's going to recreate how we keep track of titles. It's going to recreate how we keep track of our identification, right? And maybe even prevent people like Facebook and Google and other places like that from being in charge of our identification. We'll kind of be able to it's called self-custody. Not only our wealth, but our identification, titles. I'll be able to transact with Ron if I want to buy his house. And I won't need 15 people investigating titles and deciding who owns what. I'll be able to just buy his house. And then I'll get a title. And it'll be open and verifiable on the network. Anybody can see what I did. Everyone will know after that transaction happened that I bought the house from Ron and that the title's mine, right? There'll be nobody in the middle necessary to validate it. It'll happen on the network. It'll happen because all across the globe, people are running their computers and keeping the network going. And another reason why I think Satoshi Nakamoto kept himself anonymous is because that becomes like a point of attack, right? If he's somebody that you didn't like, then you could use all his flaws would lend themselves then to the computer network he created, even though that's a false logical argument. That's what happens, right? If you don't like me and I create something, you might not trust it just because you don't trust me. Well, what's unique about this particular technology is it's separate from the person that created it. It's actually great that he didn't let us know who he was, or she, for that matter, because now that's a point of attack that we can take off the table. Another thing is when you decentralize something, one of the common myths is, well, what if you just blow up the computer, right? Ron's running his I'm using you, Ron, sorry, you're my neighbor. So Ron's running his little Bitcoin miner.
Cheers, Fred.
And maybe some governmental entity doesn't like what Ron's doing, so they go over there and they take his computer. It doesn't hurt the network because there's a million other people, probably millions of other people, all over the world, scattered all over the place running that computer network. And if only one computer survives, the whole network survives. And that's kind of the beauty of it. You can't just bomb one point and knock the network out. It was actually the same theory that caused us to invent the internet, right? When the internet was created, one of the reasons it was created is because we didn't want anyone to be able to knock out the grid, right? We wanted communications to continue, even in a circumstance where there was a nuclear war. Because if only a couple of those computers on the network survived, you'd still have the ability to communicate with each other. I know there's a lot of other things that I put down on that paper, and every one of those probably takes 30 minutes to explain. But I would say the primary reason you should be interested in Bitcoin is because right now, the way our monetary system operates is that there's an incentive to not be responsible and not to save. Because our system basically... Well, first let me ask you, how many people are on a fixed income in here? How many people have been spending their life working and putting money in the bank? And in the old days, you used to be able to make interest and make an income from that. You can't anymore. Well, what's happened now, it's called, well, our money system, the people in charge can basically, with the press of a button, print as many dollars at any time, but they pull it out as debt, and they can throw it on the world like they did not that long ago when, I don't know if you remember, Joe Biden, when he said, hey, my Build Back Better plan is, yeah, it costs a few $1 trillion. It's not going to cost you anything. Well, I think when you start doing the math, and when you start looking around at how much strawberries cost in Walmart, and how much your used car went up, and how high your property value went up, that's not true. That when you flood our system with dollars, what you're doing is you're effectively stealing from every responsible person that is trying to store value into the future. So the biggest invention I think, that Bitcoin created. And right now it's a new technology and it's volatile because it hasn't been properly valued yet, and that's how it's going to be probably for several years. But Bitcoin is a mechanism that cannot be inflated. It's deflationary in nature, ever. There will only be, ever, in the history of the network, 21 million Bitcoins, ever. They can be fractionalized down into pieces. So each Bitcoin can be fractionalized into 100 million little pieces. But if you think of it like gold 2.0, and everyone knows what gold is, right? That was one of the mechanisms that people used to store value for the last 5,000 years. I'll buy gold coin. You know, the only way you can inflate that is to go out and mine more gold, which does happen, by the way. There is gold in the ground, and when the value of gold gets high, guess what happens? All the miners crank up their business. They're like, oh, gold's 5,000 an ounce, really? Let's buy a few more drills, let's buy a few more machines, let's get more, because it's worth more. That's a inflationary measure that kind of stabilizes the price of gold, and as gold gets more valuable, they get more gold, they put it on the market, gold comes down again. Bitcoin, that will never happen with Bitcoin. There will only be 21 million. So you know when you buy one Bitcoin that you will always have one Bitcoin on the network that will be yours, digital yours. That's the hard part to grasp. We're all used to having a gold coin under our mattress. This is a coin, it's not under your mattress. It's on the network in cyberspace. It's the hardest thing, I think, for people to understand. It was the hardest thing for me, because when I was younger, I played a game called Warcraft. I don't know if anybody else here was a Warcraft player, but there was money in the game. It was Warcraft money, basically. It was digital money. And when I first heard about Bitcoin, that's the first thing that came to my mind. And I read an article, and I don't remember if it was in Forbes or wherever. I read the article and I said, someday Bitcoin's going to be more valuable than gold, an ounce of gold. And I was thinking to myself, because my family was a gold bug family, you know, doomsday prepperish. The world's going to collapse someday, you better be prepared, buy gold. So my first thought was, there's no way. No, there's no way a digital coin that I can't even hold is ever going to be worth more than a piece of metal that I can put in my hand, put in my pocket, and walk away with. Well, I was wrong. A Bitcoin's worth a lot more than an ounce of gold today. It's probably going to be worth a lot more in the future because it's deflationary in nature. So many things I could say. Why don't I just ask you if you have any questions? I'll see if I can answer them.
So what establishes the value of a Bitcoin?
Market value, purely.
How do you get invested into a Bitcoin? Can you hold an account with X number of Bitcoins?
It's not easy, and it hasn't been easy. It's getting easier and easier all the time. When I first got involved in Bitcoin, I had a hard time figuring out how to buy one. And now there's companies out there, and there's actually companies traded on the NASDAQ. There's one called Coinbase, and you can open a Coinbase account and you can use them as a medium to buy Bitcoin. So there are exchanges out there that you can use to buy Bitcoin, and that's kind of a topic that you're going to have to spend a little time exploring. But the safest right now is probably, because they're regulated and recognized, is called Coinbase.
So if there's only 21 million out there, what if they're all bought? How can we get
It's fractionalized into what are called, they've been named Satoshis, because after the creator. So like a dollar is fractionalized into 100 pennies, a Bitcoin is fractionalized into 100 million Satoshis. So you can take a dollar, and you can convert a dollar into, I think right now, about 1,200 Satoshis.
So essentially the guys who bought in first have the highest value because they got the original metrics of the unit of cost.
Yeah, and in the early days, some of these guys, they didn't know it was going to be this valuable. Some people may have, I'm not sure, but I imagine there are these gamers on their computer that just turned on the miner because they thought that was kind of cool. And they let it mine Bitcoin. And I read articles about people that did that in the early days, and they're like, yeah, I used to get like 150 Bitcoin a day, but then, because the more people that turn on the machine, the harder the algorithm gets. It's designed to get harder and harder and harder to mine Bitcoin. So in the early days, it was easy. And every block that was open, and I'm not even going to get into what blockchain is yet, that's too complicated. But basically, you could mine Bitcoin, and these early Bitcoiners, they were making like 150 Bitcoin a day just for leaving their little computers running. And at that time, Bitcoin was worth like a fraction of a cent. And then eventually it was worth $1, and then eventually it was worth $10. And then eventually, of course, now, as of today, I think it's worth about $27,000 or $28,000 for a Bitcoin. So these people that had a bunch of Bitcoin in the early days, they're some billionaires as a result. And there are some people that didn't know, because, I mean, you don't know. They threw their computers away. There's a story where there's a person looking for their computer in a New York landfill that has, I think, 15,000 Bitcoin on it. And it's self-custody, which is different from what we're used to. When you put your money into a bank, basically, if I go to Bank of America and drop $100 in my account, Bank of America owns that $100. They give me an IOU from Bank of America that says, I owe you $100. So it's called counterparty risk. And if Bank of America folds, my money is not my money, it's their money. And guess who gets paid first? All their creditors. And so if they go bankrupt, after all their creditors are paid, then the depositors get paid. We do have a thing called federal depository insurance through the federal government. They insure you up to a certain amount. If our banks fail at this point, I don't imagine our government would have the ability to pay people for $300,000 for minimum deposit without borrowing, creating money that didn't exist, which means $300,000 is probably going to be worth a fraction of what it should be worth, because it's debt and they're creating it out of thin air. Yes?
This is all very confusing to me, but how do you, or can you take what you have in the bank and transmit that to Bitcoin? Or does that not?
You can, and I do it all the time. And actually, one of the things I do use is Coinbase. A lot of the hardcore Bitcoiners don't like Coinbase because Coinbase is an establishment business. It's kind of like a new version of a bank in a sense. So if I transfer my money into Coinbase and buy Bitcoin through Coinbase, then in the same way that I put my $100 in Bank of America, it's their money and they owe me an IOU. Coinbase is the same way. So I buy my Bitcoin. If I leave my money in Bitcoin, my Bitcoin in Coinbase, basically I have an IOU from Coinbase saying that's my Bitcoin until I take it out. And self-custody means when I put it in my own wallet, it's like cash in your wallet. If you lose your seed phrase, which is your code, your password, you've lost your money. So in some ways, it's scary, but in other ways, it's another invention that's revolutionary. Imagine you were in Nazi Germany, and the Nazis come down, and you're a Jew, and you have this nice house and all your nice things inside, and you have your bag of gold because you're prepared. Well, guess what? You take your bag of gold, you try to escape, you get to the border, they take your bag of gold, you're broke. Bitcoin exists on the network. If I remember my seed phrase, I can walk away, go to the next country where it's safe, type in my seed phrase, my wealth is there. The only way they can take my money at that point is by force, and I have to give them my seed phrase. So there's not an incentive anymore to just pillage and plunder. The whole concept of use of violence to steal gets turned on its head. Now the only way I can get your money from you is if you give me your seed phrase. So I have to cooperate with you in some way or scare you in some way. And if I kill you, the money's gone. And no one can take it. So in other words, when the Nazis came through and rolled through Germany and stole all that money and used that money to buy tanks and soldiers and everything else, that just doesn't exist anymore. It's going to be a thing of the past. You're not going to be able to steal people's wealth with force like that. Because a Bitcoiner knows, if I don't give you the code, you shoot me, you're not getting anything for it. You just, in fact, it cost you a bullet. You had to pay to do that violence, and you got nothing back for it. Go ahead.
But also, if you could leave your phrase or your, what do you call it? What's in
seed phrase.
Seed phrase to your family, they just took all your, if they kill you, they took your family's money too, right? Because you could. Yes,
you'd have to decide and if you want your trusted members of your family to have your seed phrase. And there are, Bitcoiners see this as a way of it's an anti-tyranny device. So, for example, if, let's say I am a target of a tyrant and they seize me and they kill me. If my child knows my seed phrase, then the legacy of my family stays in the family, right? No one can take it from you unless you give it to them.
So if it's digitalized, how do you get it out? Put it in your pocket?
The Bitcoin network runs itself. You have wallets, and it holds your money. And so you have a digital wallet with your seed phrase. You can go to any computer, go on the Bitcoin network, type in your seed phrase, and your wallet's sitting there waiting for you.
So you could buy a car if you had that.
If they take Bitcoin, which they will at some point in the future.
Okay.
And right now, what you'd have to do is you'd have to convert your Bitcoin back into whatever system, whatever country you're in, their monetary system. But it's changing pretty rapidly. There's a new company called Strike that will automatically do the change for you. So you have a Bitcoin wallet, you use Strike. As far as you know, you're using dollars. You're using whatever currency you program in, and transactions get taken care of for you.
Fred wants to know how you take it and buy something in a safe way. How do you have you used it yet to buy something?
I don't want to spend any of my Bitcoin. So I want to keep it because I believe there's only 21 million. And that's all there's ever going to be. And probably it's not going to be used as currency because it's going to be used more like gold, like a store of value over time. It's the best way to take your value, your time. Your money is your time, right? You convert your time into a dollar. And I can take that time and no one can steal it from me, and in 10 years I'll still have a dollar. Whereas now, if you take your dollar, you put it in your pocket, in 10 years it's going to be worth 30 cents. Someone just stole 70 cents of your money, which is your time. They're stealing your time when they do that. You can't save your time and your production into the future. You don't have a mechanism until Bitcoin. So I know that my time is up. I could talk for hours on this.
I just wondering, how would you start? I mean, you haven't done
probably the easiest
Coinbase.
The easiest way to start is Coinbase. Now, once you start getting more involved and you start figuring out how big of an idea this is, then you'll start to explore other options and discover new things. But the easiest way to start is Coinbase. It's great that they exist because it makes it easy for someone to just go online. You can go to your app store, download the Coinbase app, and you can kind of explore what your options are, what's out there. Go ahead. Yes?
Well, I'm thinking, I'm 80 years old.
Yep.
My philosophy was when I was investing, if I put money in the market, it was money that I wasn't going to need for the next 5 years. And
That's the same way
I'm looking at a growth
Bitcoin.
rate that I anticipate. What's the growth rate, and does it make sense for somebody as old as I am to participate in something like this?
It depends on how fast you think the money that you've saved over the course of your life will be devalued by our leadership. So last month, actually yesterday, inflation numbers came out. The published inflation numbers were 8.3%. What that means is that you, as a saver and as someone who depends on fixed income, have 8.3% less than you did last year. Yeah. And how fast is that going to continue? Well, that compounds. Inflation is compounding, right? So if I make $100,000 a year last year, my actual dollar value of income this year is about $92,000. And if they give me a 3% raise, well, I'm still behind.
Another issue is taxation. How does the IRS get involved in all this?
Right now, it's taxed like gold. So that's another reason why you don't want to spend it like that. You can deposit it into a bank that will pay you interest on your Bitcoin. And you can borrow against it. And that's the way people are saying use it, because then you don't get taxed.
What do you have to declare?
Well, there's so many questions.
This could go forever.
There's no way we can get to the bottom of this rabbit hole.
It's a 1,000-hour study if you want to dive in. It's very interesting. Philosophy, government, economics. It's mind-blowing how much information.
Let me see if I can encapsulate this for everybody so we can wrap it up.
How do we access the information?
Yeah, let me see if we can wrap this up for us, okay? So I'll ask you to send me what you can electronically, and I'll email it to the group for how you get started. And the investigation has to be your own, okay?
Absolutely.
But I'm going to encapsulate the best I can. The way I see Bitcoin is a long-term investment that diversifies your type of money for the future, because this is money for the future. So this is like venture capital. You invest in this hoping that in the future it's worth more. So I wouldn't put a lot of money into it, but if you're investing now to put money away for the future, you ought to divest, I think, into this kind of currency too. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, but let me just add, this is, if you're thinking of it, I would say don't think of it like an investment necessarily. I would think of it more like gold, which is an inflation hedge. So in other words, you are protecting your store of value. And the truth is it's going to go up in value. We don't know how much. We don't know how long. At some point it'll stabilize when everyone has it, right?
Everyone has it. That's the key.
So,
not everybody has it right now. You don't have it.
So, and I'm not telling you to buy Bitcoin. I just think it's a fascinating topic, even if you never buy it. It is the future in terms of how we're constructing all sorts of things, not just money. Money is just like email on the internet, right? We use the internet for a lot more than email. Money on the Bitcoin network is like email, right? There's so many other uses and applications for it. So thank you for letting me introduce this to you. I hope I've given you just the spark that'll give you, so at least if you read about it or see it on the news, you have a little bit more understanding. And if you're interested, you can jump down the rabbit hole. And I would be happy to sit down with you and talk with you more if you had deeper interest. And I would love to orange pill you.
Now, we could have easily run a whole nother hour, I think, on this subject. And thank you for cutting it off as you did. I am, of course, interested in it because I do think there is some future value in it, though there's been so much argument about it in the past. All right, so back on track. Let's get back on the agenda, okay? At this time, we would be asking SLPs how the program is going, what's new in the programs, but all of them are wrapping up for the year because, hey, they're all graduating going into the summer vacation mode. So nothing new there. I do know that on the 18th of this month, that's next Wednesday, that Mod Pizza is doing a benefit for Cass Key Club, okay? Cass Key Club, if you go eat a pizza on the 18th at Mod Pizza, they get a percentage of the proceeds towards the Cass Key Club. So go in, have pizza. I love their pizza anyway. It's one of my favorite places to go. And let them know that you're here for Cass Key Club, and they'll make sure that a portion of that proceed goes to them.
And Monday is Vinny's, right?
Yeah,
I forget what for, but.
I don't remember who it was for. Who's that for?
It came from this group, did it not?
Maybe.
Yeah, I've sent it out.
I don't remember.
Don't
I
recall.
thought,
Okay, I want to remind you that our benefactors for this facility also have a calendar. There's a lot of great things there. I have the adult services calendar. If you don't have it, you can obviously go online to get it, but it certainly is worthwhile. Before I get any further though, we picked out a book for you today, Jason. How much is a million? Bitcoin? Right? So let me show you the book, shake your hand, get the photo op.
Yeah, let me get that. Yeah, how much?
Oh, he's going to take two. I got it. So, what school would you like me to donate to? Which library?
How about the one near us? Is that close to school for that?
Town and country.
Okay. Is there like a kindergarten near Town and Country? I'm not sure.
I'm not an expert on this.
One in Town and Country.
Town and Country's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so it's called Town and Country?
Yeah.
All right.
So we'll donate this on your behalf to Town and Country's
All right, perfect.
library,
Appreciate
okay?
that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I saw that book in our purse. I just slipped right out. It's hilarious. Okay. Check on Roberts Park. Everything's fine there. I just got a report from Steve. We're good to go. Birthdays and anniversaries. Patrick, how would you like us to sing happy birthday to you today?
Is today your birthday?
No. This month. This month.
Okay. Oh, this
His
month.
birthday's on the 25th. It's coming.
Oh,
Gotcha.
we got a second chance.
Let's do it. Nice.
Nice? Oh, we don't do nice. All right, here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Patrick. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. All right, well, the anniversaries we have on our list for this month, Neither one of those couples are here, so we're going to skip that. Hopefully they'll attend that next meeting, and we'll harass them with the song as well. I want to point out that Bruce joined in this month on the 17th of May, 2020. So he's an old man now. Laura Miller, where did she go? She left too. She also joined, but she joined on 11th May in 2006, so she's a really old gal. And the oldest of them all, Janelle joined in 1996. That deserves an applause. That almost deserves a song, I don't know.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah. I want to review the calendar with you quickly. Honors Breakfast, I can't underscore that enough, how great that is. Coming up this weekend. Our next meeting will be a noon meeting on the 26th of May, right here. That meeting is probably going to be a new member introduction. So all you new guys, come in. We're going to have a little video slide presentation and go over a lot of stuff.
We only have 2 people signed up to bring food for the 26th. So if somebody else could sign up, that would be awesome.
Terrific. The convention in Indianapolis for Key Clubs is coming up in June. If you know a young person in Key Clubs, support them as best you can. We've already given out money for several of our Key Clubbers. Then our next morning meeting is 9 June, 23rd is a noon meeting. 4th of July popcorn sales. Woohoo! That's coming up quick, and we have the supplies. Well, everything but the boxes, but they're on their way. And believe me, the shipping was crazy expensive. $230 just to ship them there.
Inflation, yeah.
Wow, yeah. I wish we could pay with, no, we don't.
Pay with Bitcoin.
So 4th of July is coming up soon, then our next board meeting, then a morning meeting here at the library, a new meeting, a party. I may be changing one of these morning meetings to going over to the Angry German. After I speak with him, I will send you information. Keep posted to your television screen, like your computer screen. And Southwest District Convention in San Marcos. That's in Chandler. Wow. Not too far. You could drive there just like you guys are going up to Phoenix, right? That wouldn't be a bad thing, and it's a really nice, swanky hotel to go to. So if you can get out and go do it, do so. It is a lot of fun. It's a great experience for especially the new members to go to one of our conventions and see how we conduct ourselves and get new ideas about programs and things that we can do as a club. That is the calendar. I hit the best pizza. We have a couple ideas for our meeting as presenters. The Butterfly Club, which is the gals that make wigs or put together wigs for those who don't have hair.
For you?
I don't need one.
Mostly for young cancer.
Right, it's for young cancer victims. I think it's an interesting topic. If you like that, great. We also have another one from John Rose. Can you tell us about him real quick, Ron?
All I know is he writes articles about history about this area. He might be an interesting person.
Yeah, that might be interesting. So I'll contact him. I got a couple ideas. What do you got?
Fred and Irene had an anniversary on the 6th.
Oh.
44 years.
44 years?
Wow.
How did I miss it?
And we dated for 3, so we've been together 47 years.
Wow. And I'll never catch up to you. I'm sorry. I'm starting too late in life. Well, God bless you. Thank you very much for bringing that to my attention. My oversight. Let's do, Patrick, the quote of the day.
In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell, 1949 English novelist.
I put the date on there because I thought that was very telling. This was a prediction on his behalf, or at least an observation that he documented back in 1949. And I think we are seeing a lot of that, especially since we moved from the standard of truth in news giving to what it is today. So spin doctors abound everywhere. All right, let's do the Kiwanis Pledge, if you will, please, everyone. As our country's flag signifies purity, valor, and justice, may we as true Kiwanis exemplify those virtues as we serve the children of the world. Please grab some food on your way out. Don't leave that for us to take back home.
Hey, if nobody wants to sign up for other food, because I know it's fruit and cheesecake that I said, because that was the second.
Yeah.
Everybody could just bring their own main thing.
Yep.
And have fruit.
I like it.
Okay.
Hey.
Sorry for talking so long.
No, I expect it.
Well, I've never done